Hey there guys, it's Klay here with another video. I have decided to just post a certain amount of videos this Christmas break. I already uploaded 3 videos, meaning I only have to upload 15 more videos until the school break ends. It depends, I may be able to upload 2 videos in a single day, but that is all I have to say for now. Now that that's all out of the way, today I will read chapters 7 to 9 of What If Naruto Took Training Seriously. The info about the author of the story is in the description just like always. I will now begin. Chapter 7. Start. Konohamaru. Are you alright? Naruto yelled, running to get around the corner before Sakura could really hurt the boy. As he turned it though, he saw something he hadn't expected. What greeted him was Sakura standing stunned in the street. And an older boy who held Konohamaru up by the collar of his shirt. Naruto was not happy to see that. Hey, what the fuck are you doing? The older boy scoffed. This brat ran into me and I'm gonna teach him a lesson. Put him down. Now. Naruto commanded. What are you gonna do if I don't? The guy said arrogantly. Only then did Naruto by pure natural speed appear inside the man's guard, holding his kunai to the man's throat. I'm not going to ask again. I didn't even see him move. The older boy thought, dropping the kid. Naruto disappeared and reappeared next to Sakura holding Konohamaru, who he then set down. Kono. Run along. I'll catch up with you later. Naruto said in a no-nonsense voice. Yes sir, big brother Naruto. With that, the youngster ran off as fast as he could. You two, you're here for the Chunin exams, right? The blonde asked. We are. But I'm gonna kick your ass right here for that stunt you just pulled. The teenager reached for the bandaged item on his back, when suddenly a rock hit him in the head, thrown from behind him. When he turned to look, his eyes were met with the blood-red Sharingan of Konohagakure's last Uchiha. A. You couldn't touch Naruto if you tried. And B. Random fighting inside the village is prohibited, especially right now. The black-haired boy said. Hey, you. Don't be trying to sneak up behind Sasuke like that. Naruto yelled, pointing behind the boy in the tree. With that, a figure walked out, most notable feature being the kanji for love etched into his forehead. Kankuro. You're a disgrace to the village. The figure said. Well, you see Gaara, it's like tea. Shut up or I'll kill you. The redhead cut him off. You're all shinobi from Sunagakure, correct? Naruto asked. Here for the exams? Yes we are. The girl answered. Are you taking them as well? Indeed. Naruto said, his eyes then narrowing as he looked at Gaara. You, what's your name? They call me Gaara of the desert. What's yours? Uzumaki Naruto. I hope we get to fight, you two Uchiha. And with that, the 3 sand shinobi left. Guys. Naruto shook his head. If you face him at all, especially without help, run immediately. You'll die if you don't. What do you mean run, Naruto? Sasuke asked. I could feel his chakra the whole time. He's just like me. And since he's from Sunagakure, I'd say he's the Jinchuriki of the One Tails. Another Jinchuriki? Sakura asked. Yes, it's likely I'll end up facing him. Either me or Sasuke, maybe even you Sakura. I'd rather both of you forfeit immediately if facing him, but I can't force you. Just make sure you're content with dying. The blonde sighed. Kami Naruto, is it that bad? Sasuke asked. Ski, you know I'd never tell you to back down from a fight, so yeah, it's that bad. As your friend and teammate, I'm begging you to not fight him if at all possible. Naruto was staring at the ground as they walked now. Alright, it's settled. If I can absolutely avoid it I won't fight him, replied the Uchiha. Agreed. The pinkette confirmed her adherence to the request. Thank you. A light breeze blew outside the front door to the academy. The 3 Chunin hopefuls stepped inside and made their way up the stairs. They all tapped each other on the arm at the detection of the genjutsu set upon the door to room 201, that made it read 301. They silently walked by and continued up the stairs. As they prepared to enter the doorway, Naruto and Sasuke made a decision. Sakura turned the handle slightly and stepped back, and Naruto booted the door open hard enough for it to bounce as it impacted the wall on which it was mounted. He then channeled the slightest bit of the fox's chakra, and he and Sasuke absolutely decimated the room with killing intent. And the whole time they were grinning like idiots. Flashback. Hey duck butt? What do you want, loser? I think we should make an entrance that says don't fuck with us. What do you mean, Uzumaki? The raven-haired boy asked. I mean, let's use our killing intent to scare the fuck out of as many of these teams as we can. I'll channel a bit of the foxes. If Sakura's okay with it then yeah. This'll be awesome, you know. The Uzumaki cheered. Flashback end. The entire room full of teams began to try to focus their combined killing intent on Team 7. Just as it began to overpower the murderous feeling Sasuke and Naruto gave off. Naruto made a power move and channeled even more of the Nine Tails chakra. This completely overpowered everything the other teams had, and they all turned away from the glares of Team 7, muttering amongst themselves about dangerous Konoha Nin. "You two really are unbelievable, you know that, right?" Sakura asked, bored. She had long since gotten used to Naruto and Sasuke using this combination of killing intent since they had experienced Zabuzas in Wave Country. Some of the foreign nin were completely stunned by how she was seemingly unaffected, painting her as not being a weak point for the team. Hey guys, hope that's not gonna turn on us?" Kiba said, approaching from the corner, where it seemed all the teams from their graduating class were situated. "We're saving it for the real competition, mutt," Sasuke replied. "What did you call me, Uchiha?" "You heard me," Sakura interjected. Sasuke quit, "It's annoying." At that the rookie 9 were all visibly stunned. She looked at them blankly. "What?" Nothing, sorry," Kiba replied. "Impressive display. But that's going to attract a lot of attention, and the rest of you are being very loud." A new Konohagakure genin said, walking up to the group. He had come from a separate group of Konoha hopefuls across the room. "Yeah, well, at least most know not to fuck with us," said Sasuke, rounding on the newcomer. "And who exactly are you?" "I am Kabuto. I've taken this exam a couple of times. Figured I could give advice to you all." "A couple of times?" Kiba asked. "Doesn't that mean you suck considering you haven't passed?" While this was going on, Sasuke was now struggling with Naruto's help to get Ino to let him go after she had jumped on him. Finally separating them, it was Naruto's turn to put forward a question. "Got any info on any of the genin here?" "Yeah, I do. I've got it all here on my ninja info cards." "Who do you want to know about?" "Gaara of the desert," Naruto said. Kiba jumped in suddenly. "Uzumaki Naruto, and Uchiha Sasuke." Kabuto laughed. "You make it too easy knowing their names. Gaara of the desert. 0D ranks, 30 C ranks, 14 B ranks, and 5 A ranks. Wow, that's unheard of for a genin. Oh, and it says he's never gotten a single scratch on a mission. He also has control over sand for offense and defense. Uzumaki Naruto. 546 D ranks. They haven't even been genin for a year. Even being D ranks, that's still impressive. 2 C rank missions, 1 B rank and 1 A rank. Multiple high-level jutsu and unusually high speed." Kabuto laughed. "Wow, not bad for such a short career history." "Thanks," Naruto said, deep in thought. "No one should know about the B rank. That was supposed to be a secret." Uchiha Sasuke. Same mission history as Naruto, seeing as they share a team. But Sasuke has no B rank, meaning Naruto did one alone? Sasuke has quite a few fire-style jutsu under his belt and has no pushover in taijutsu either. Both he and Naruto shared the title of Rookie of the Year. The glasses-wearing boy stood. "Well, that's all I got. Anything on the other villages here?" asked Sakura. "Well, out of the big 5 only Sanagakure is participating. Otherwise there's a team from Takigakure, along with Kusagakure, and Omegakure. Otogakure is also here, but they're a relatively new village, and not much is known about them," Kabuto explained to the group. Upon hearing this, a group from Oto approached. "Hey, I'll show you the power of Otogakure right now. We'll be one of the strongest villages soon." A bandage-covered genin yelled. He charged at Kabuto, and just as he was making to swing his gauntlet-covered arm at the Konoha nin, Naruto appeared in between them. Landing in a handstand, he planted his foot in the Oto nin's chest. Pushing off, he grabbed Kabuto with his other arm and disappeared. Reappearing across the room, the blonde spoke. "Maybe you'll be stronger soon, but you're still a minor village. Might be a bad idea to go pissing off the big 5 right away. Wouldn't want to get squashed before having a chance to grow." His grin never left his lips. Kakashi's training to increase his speed to unnatural proportions was one of the best terrible things he ever put himself through. The Oto nin looked positively livid, but a commanding voice broke through the air. "Any fighting in this room from here on out is prohibited, and punishable by disqualification." A man with a scared face wearing a black trench coat said, having just appeared in the room. Alongside him was a set of chunin. "I'm Ibiki Morino. I will be your proctor for the first test." He growled, "The first exam is a written one. Anyone caught cheating more than 6 times will fail alongside their team. Your test scores will be collective, so if one of your teammates fails, you're still out. This will be a 2-hour test. After the time limit, a 10th and final question will be given. Now take your damn seats and get ready. The genin that filled the room began taking seats, and tests were handed out by Chunin once the examines were seated. Alright, the test begins now. The scared man called out. Naruto looked at his test. They were extremely advanced questions. Most genin wouldn't know the answers to any of them. He was glad for Iruka's insistence on him learning more advanced math and physics problems. He knew Sakura would be smart enough to answer all the questions, but what of him and Sasuke? I see. They want us to cheat. They're testing out ability to gather information without getting caught. The Uzumaki caught on quick. He now knew Sasuke would use his Sharingan, but what of himself? He got a crazy idea. He wasn't sure if it would work, but he figured he'd give it a shot. The boy proceeded to, accidentally, knock over his water. Quickly picking up the bottle and trying to look flustered, he began to focus on putting his chakra into the water now on the desk. It slowly evaporated, condensation building on the ceiling above the boy. He manipulated his chakra in the water to get the condensation to turn to a big droplet that then flattened, and turned into an almost perfect mirror surface. From there he kicked his feet up on the desk, leaning back in his chair with his hands on his head. He watched others fill out their tests from the mirror, and once he had all the answers stuffed into his mind, he began to fill out his own. The Chunin began striking out team after team until the time was up. All that were remaining was the Rookie 9, Kakashi-sensei's self-proclaimed rivals team, and 4 more Konoha teams, including Kabuto's. Along with that were the 2 Otogakure teams, 2 Tsunagakure teams, 2 Omegakure teams, and 3 Kusagakure teams. Alright, time's up, the big man yelled. Now, you must decide if you want to take the 10th question. If you don't, you will fail the test. What? Then of course we'd take the question. The Suna girl yelled. He glared at her for interrupting him. However, if you take the 10th question, and get it wrong, you will never be allowed to take the Chunin exams again. What? Kiba yelled, but there's people here who have taken the exams before. I guess you're just unlucky to have me as your proctor. If you choose to not take the question, you will fail, but you will have the chance to take the test again next year. The man explained. Now if you're not gonna take it, get out. A Suna team and a Kusa team both got up and left, and some of the other teams seemed to have their resolve wavering. However, when Naruto saw some of the Rookie 9 wavering, he figured it best to take a precautionary measure. Slamming his hand onto the table, he stood. Oi, I can be Genin and never make Junin. But I'll still become Hokage one day. I'll surpass the 4th and all the other Hokage. Tough talk. Ibiki said. Looking around the room, he noticed that the boy's words had steeled the resolve of all the genin left. Is that your final answer? No team moved an inch. Alright then, you pass. What? Came the scattered yells of many of the genin. The goal of the 10th question is to see if you have the guts to be a Chunin. The ability to be courageous and survive any hardship. These are the abilities needed to become a Chunin captain. Those who can't put their destinies on the line, who cling to the uncertain future of, there's always next year, and walk away from their chance. Those pieces of trash who can only make such cowardly choices do not deserve to become Chunin. He removed his bandana, showing his head full of scars. Some genin audibly gasped. So, a window bust open, and Kanai with a large banner attached impacted the wall, interrupting the scared man. The banner read the sexy and single Midarashi Anko. Ibiki, the girl who had stolen the show, yelled. You let this many pass? Anko, you're early. No matter. I'll cut that number in half. She licked her lips and a few genin gulped. Alright shit stains, meet me at training ground 44 in an hour. Prepare to start. A Chunin yelled as the genin stood at the gates. Go. The gates were opened and the test was on. Team 7 was in need of an earth scroll. They entered the forest quickly, and got as far inside as possible before stopping. Naruto quickly made 15 water clones who set up a perimeter. Sasuke and Sakura began Overwatch, and Naruto crouched down and placed his finger to the ground. Kakashi, having seen Naruto's sensor ability being seemingly in tune with his father's, worked to have Naruto refine and perfect this skill. He could now sense chakra over a range of a mile, just by placing his finger to the ground. Okay, an AIM team is actually trying to sneak up on us right now. They're due east. Let's do it quick, Naruto said, taking off with Sakura and Sasuke in tow. Right, they said. As much as Sasuke hated to admit it, Naruto made a good team leader. His strategies were almost unmatched as well. They quickly found the AIM team, and before anyone could blink, Sasuke and Sakura had them all under a genjutsu, and Naruto sent his water clones in to dispatch the enemy as to be prepared for any traps. Finding none and knocking out the team, Naruto's clones waved the all-clear signal. Jumping down, they found the team did indeed possess an Earth Scroll. "Let's knock out a few more teams on the way to the tower?" Sasuke suggested. "It couldn't hurt. Might lessen the competition for later." Naruto replied, "I don't know about you two, but I'd like to set a record time." Sakura said. At that moment, a gust of wind more powerful than anything Naruto had experienced in his life ripped through the trees, uprooting them as it went and blasting the team apart. Naruto had no idea what hit them. Sasuke awoke. He heard screaming. It was a girl, Sakura? He thought with worry. No, that's not her. It was coming from off to his right. "Help me," came the screams. Sasuke ran over and found a giant bear moving to make a midday meal out of the redhead on the ground. Said bear was quickly fried by a fire jutsu, and Sasuke called out, "Go find an examiner." "Sorry, I gotta go. My team needs me." With that, he was gone. Sakura awoke, and she was mad. Whatever had hit them really spoiled her mood. She was by no means happy. She heard a commotion through the trees. She then neared the source of the sound. Upon peeking through the dense foliage cover, she saw the Suna team Naruto had been so worried about. And now she saw why. She watched as the guy with the gourd-wrapped sand around the AIM team confronting him. And she watched as he turned their bodies to paste. She immediately bailed and went off in the direction her and her teammates had last been together. Naruto woke up. Something hurt, a lot. He heard a noise, but it was unusual. Sounds like a medical jutsu? He thought groggily. His eyes fluttered open, only to see a pair of soft green eyes staring back at him. "Shush, stay down, your arm is broken." "I'm a Konoha nin too, it's alright," the girl said. She had shoulder-length black hair that graduated to dark red at the tips. "What happened?" Naruto asked. "We heard a huge crash from in front of us. When we came to investigate, we found you here," a boy behind the girl said. Actually, there were two boys. They were identical. "Shit, I'm seeing double," Naruto muttered. The girl giggled. "No, silly, there's two of them, identical twins." "Hey, that's pretty cool, you know," Naruto said, slightly excited, but clapped his hands over his mouth at letting the verbal tick out in front of these new people. The girl giggled again. Looking at him, she smiled. "Arms all good now?" He stood slowly and punched his hand into his fist. "Alright, thanks for the help, but I gotta go find my team." "Do you want help?" one boy asked. "Nah, you guys have an exam to pass." He smiled. "I never did get your names?" "Kasahara Roku," one of the boys said. "Kasahara Aiko," the second followed up. "I'm Takarada Ryuko. It's a pleasure to meet you, mister." The girl finished for the group. "Uzumaki Naruto. Your future Hokage at your service," he said, bowing dramatically, causing the girl to giggle again. "Well, anyway, I gotta go." And then he disappeared, leaving the team baffled. Chapter 7. End. Chapter 8. Start. Naruto was flying through the forest of death. He didn't know what was going on, but he could sense Sasuke and Sakura's chakra. It was spiking so high he knew his best friend was being pushed hard. When he saw the giant snake with a kusa nin atop its head moving to devour Sasuke and Sakura, he knew he had to do something. He forced its chakra into his coils and took the fox's power. "Someday I'm gonna be strong enough to protect my friends without you, Nine Tails," he thought. The snake barreled at the two genin who were paralyzed in fear. And it slammed into something before hitting the branch they stood on. Naruto stood in front of them holding the snake with his arms and back, bracing himself with his legs against the branch while facing them. When he looked up at them, they could clearly see that he was using the Nine Tails chakra. "Ski, you're better than this," the boy said to him. "And Naruto?" the Uchiha asked in shock. Combo 5. Now Sasuke. The raven finally came back to his senses. "Right," he yelled and began weaving through hand signs. Naruto kicked off the snake and spun in mid-air as Sasuke and Sakura both kicked off the branch as well. Once close enough together, they fired their jutsu at the enemy nin and its summon. Wind style. Great breakthrough. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. The combo tore apart everything in its path as it rushed the kusa nin. Consuming the nin in a ball of fire, the boys let out a sigh of relief, only to be met with an evil chuckle. Kakukik, now that was quite impressive for some genin. However, you're much too dangerous with that fox, Naruto. Let me fix that. The nin was in front of him in seconds, and the enemy slammed its palm into the Jinchuriki's stomach. 5 elements seal. Naruto collapsed almost instantly. Sakura caught the boy and landed on the ground along with Sasuke. Just who the hell are you? She yelled. Kakuku, I've a lot of names, but you'd probably recognize me best as Orochimaru, of the Sannin. Sasuke's eyes widened, fear burning into them. What do you want? I simply came to give you a gift, Sasuke boy. The traitorous Sannin said. His neck stretched across the space between them in seconds and bit Sasuke on the shoulder. He screamed out in pain, clutching his new wound as he collapsed. I look forward to seeing you again. Kakuku, and the Sannin was gone. Sakura dragged both boys to a nearby tree with a hollowed-out underside. She laid them out to where they would be comfortable. Sasuke had a massive fever. And Naruto was out cold from whatever the Sannin had done. She set up a lot of traps and began using her medical jutsu and medical kits to help the boys healing along as best she could. A loud crack brought her attention to the field she had stuffed with her traps. When she saw 3 Auto Nin jump down, she wasted no time. Oi! Konoha Nin, I'm Lucky. The loud and brash genin was cut off by a massive explosion that ripped apart the tree line all around the clearing. Sakura stood kunai in hand, at the entrance to the hollowed-out tree. Look, I'll give you the chance to turn and go. But I won't let you touch these 2. And so help me, if we're fighting and they wake up, well, they tend to be protective of me. Sakura glared at the 3 Auto Nin. Aw, fuck me, Dosu. This little bitch thinks she can stop us. The brash one laughed. Sakura launched through seals and smacked her hand to the ground. Earth style. Earthquake slam. She called out, and the ground surrounding the enemy began to spiral inwards on itself, attempting to bury the Nin alive. The Auto Nin barely managed to dodge in time. God damn it, this bitch. The brash one yelled. The bandaged one, now identified as Dosu, then spoke in a commanding tone. Zaku, calm down. She's obviously well prepared. He sighed. Can you get her? The female of the group shook her head in negative. Not at this range. The Auto Nin stood, analyzing their options. What surprised them was when the Pinkette charged out of her little bunker and jumped into the air. As she slammed her fist down into the tree where Dosu had just been standing, the entire thing blew away as if hit with a paper bomb. Flashback, Kakashi-sensei, we've been upping my physical strength, but I was wondering, how did Lady Tsunade get so strong? Well, that's actually a technique she uses, but I'm not sure how it works. Do you think maybe we could come up with our own version? We both know I'm good at punching things. Kakashi eyes smiled at the Pinkette. That's the spirit. I'd say we probably could pull it off. Over the next 2 weeks training for the exams, they had come up with a bastardized, chakra-wasting, cheap imitation of Tsunade's super strength. But it hit hard. And that was what mattered most. Flashback end, Zaku sputtered as they jumped back. What the fuck? Sakura simply grinned at the team. She was either going to rip them apart, or if they could prove strong, she could keep them held until the boys woke up. And thus began a game of cat and mouse between Sakura and their team. She wouldn't let them split up, she kept them away from her teammates, and she didn't let them lure her out of her field where she had traps hidden everywhere. They were only 2 hours into the exam, and already their team had ran into the biggest amount of trouble. We seem to have a knack for that. Sakura mused. Her next hit broke every bone in the female Auto Nin's body and left her a jumbled broken mess on the forest floor. And the games continued. 40 minutes later, and Sakura was tired. She couldn't keep this cat and mouse shit up for long. She was quite surprised when Zaku finally managed to slip into her guard and blast her away with his jutsu. She flew back, expecting to impact the tree only to be caught. She looked to see by who, and saw the familiar black hair of her Uchiha teammate. He set her down slowly and lightly. Sakura, who did this to you? Black markings trailed up his face from his shoulder. I finally hit the dumb bitch Dosu. Zaku yelled, landing in the middle of the clearing. Sasuke locked eyes with the boy. We've been sent to kill you, Uchiha Sasuke. Dosu then called out. HN. The boy grunted. Funny, because you're the one about to die. Sasuke was on Zaku in seconds, beating him before tossing him to the ground. You really seem to like these arms a lot. Maybe I'll take them from you. Sasuke said, planting his foot in the back of the enemy genin. He began to pull, and the arms popped out of their sockets with a sickening crack. The boy below him screamed in pain. Sasuke began to draw a kunai, when a voice stopped him cold. Sasuke. Enough. Naruto stood at the entrance to the tree. Let's go, we're wasting time. Leave M.H.N. The Sharingan wielder grunted. Fine, but only because Sakura wants to set a record. And with that Team 7 left the broken and battered Auto team alone. 3 hours to complete. A feat in its own, but it was blown away by the Suna team's 91 minutes. But then again Squad 7 had encountered the Orochimaru of the Sannin. The Hokage secretly met with them, and debriefed the team on what had happened. After which Kakashi took Sasuke away to seal his new curse mark. Naruto told Hiruzen of the traitorous Sannin seal, the one that had blocked the Nine Tails chakra, and in turn the Hokage saw he could remove it. However, until his chakra had time to rest itself per se, it royally screwed his chakra control, but he found he could still do his kunai substitution, so although jutsu was mostly out of the picture, he still had his natural speed and his favorite technique. The Hokage guessed it would be about a day or two before Naruto's chakra control would be able to be normal. By the time all the teams that had passed were in the tower and ready to go, the proctors knew they would need to hold preliminary matches. Team 7 had been warned of the preliminary matches beforehand. The Hokage felt if any team had the right to know, it was them. After what they went through in the forest, they needed to be prepared for the preliminaries. Standing on the main platform, in front of all the gathered genin, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage began to address the young nin. Some of you may have wondered, what are you here for, why you came all this way and risked your lives for a promotion? The truth is, the Chunin exams are a substitute for war. Used by the village to test their might against the might of another. You fight and die for your village. Some of the genin started to protest and ask questions, but a coughing man stepped up. Lord Third Hokage, mind if I take it from here? Of course Hayate. The man stepped up coughing a few times before speaking. I am Gecko Hayate. He coughed a few more times before continuing. I will be your proctor for the preliminary matches. He bust out coughing once again. There's too many of you for finals, so this has to be done. He coughed some more, and he ignored the protests of many genin. I don't care what you have to say. The matches will be randomly selected. A screen popped out of the wall behind him. And the winner will go to the finals. The matches start now. Anyone who feels they are unable to fight may drop out now. The last Kusagakure team that made it dropped out as a whole. Kabuto dropped out, but his teammates stayed. The girl Naruto had met in the forest Takarada Ryuko quit as well, giving Naruto a wave as she left, which he returned. Kasahara Roku, and Kasahara Aiko, the twins, also quit and they looked like they needed to, they were quite beat up. On the screen 2 names appeared. Tamari against Tenten. Naruto cringed watching the bun-haired girl slam back first into the Sandgirls fan. Lee tried to go avenge her but his sensei stopped him. Dosu against Choji came next, and although Choji did well he still lost to the Auto Nin. Yoroi, Kabuto's teammate, took on Shino. This match bored Naruto to death. It was who could drain the other's chakra faster. And Shino quickly showed his prowess in his insect techniques. Naruto watched as Lee stunned the crowd. But was forced to continue watching when Lee had his fighting capability literally crushed. If it hadn't been for the interference of Guy, the bowl-cut boy would be dead. He got to cheer though, when he and Sasuke watched their pink-haired teammate absolutely body her longtime rival. Sakura ended the match with 2 moves. First she buried Ino in the ground using Earth-style Headhunter Jutsu. And then she held a kunai to the Yamanaka's throat. Many of the Junin sensei were stunned by the lack of skill the blonde girl possessed, and Asuma had to shrink back in shame. The Conqueror guy from Suna turned out to be a puppet user who made quick work of Kabuto's other teammate. They got some interesting action from another team that had graduated the same time as Naruto's group. Konohagakure's team too. One of its members went against Shikamaru. The boy, named Luka Kenji, had spiky, dirty blonde hair with red streaks in it. He was dressed in a dark sweater, with dark red pants, and happened to be a swordsman. He was skilled but arrogant and fell to Shikamaru's strategy quickly. The other two, Hinazuki Rika, and Agus Mikazuki, were pitted against each other. The girl, dressed in darker clothes, having blue hair and red eyes, seemed to have high chakra reserves considering the amount of fire-style jutsu she tossed around. Her name sounded extremely familiar to Naruto, but he couldn't place it. The boy, Mikazuki, wore a green coat that was at least 2 sizes too big for him. He had on dark tan pants and combat boots. He stuck almost exclusively to one of Naruto's favorite jutsu, the water pistol, and twin water pistol jutsu. In the end though, the blue net overpowered him. Naruto then watched as Neji came as close as he could to killing Hinata. Naruto swore to the Hyuga prodigy, that if they fought he was going to destroy him. At that moment Naruto then realized there were only 4 genin left to fight. The board shuffled names once again and Naruto smiled. Uzumaki Naruto vs. Abumi Zaku. The latter having made it to the tower with Dosu and Kin. The girl having been alive but too injured to continue. Zaku however was able to have his arms fixed. Naruto planned to absolutely body this guy. And avoid revealing too many skills. The Auto Genin laughed loudly. I'm looking for some payback now buddy. Naruto leapt down to the fighting area. Shut up, I don't care, he said bored as ever. When a few Junin glanced at Kakashi, he just smiled. Begin. Naruto kicked off by slinging kunai at the other boy, who by dodging and deflecting, avoided injury. He struck out at Naruto, aiming for a taijutsu bout. That immediately backfired as Naruto practically appeared behind him and put a spin kick into the other male's torso, sending Zaku flying. The Otto boy landed on his feet though. He then snarled at the blonde. So that's how it's gonna be huh? Fine. He stuck both arms out in front of him, decapitating airwaves. He yelled. As the waves of sound and air flew across the arena, Naruto stood blankly in its path. Only for the waves to affect nothing but a lone kunai on the ground. Lightning barrage, yelled the voice of the blonde behind him, who instantly kicked the Otto nin into the air before throwing a kunai up at him. In a moment that made many of Konoha's Junin go wide-eyed, Naruto disappeared and reappeared where his kunai had been. Performing a flip kick, Naruto sent the boy back to the ground, but appeared once again on the floor, where a different kunai had been seconds before. Only have 5 more chances for substitution, before this shit starts to hurt. Naruto grunted in his mind, that seal had really messed up his control, so the chakra hitting his coils hurt like hell. As the Auto Genin came down back first, Naruto launched into a spin kick that sent the other boy to the wall. He impacted with an echoing crack. Naruto smiled. Zaku stood slowly, pain raking his body. What the hell was that? Meanwhile, Kurenai whispered to the boy's sensei. Kakashi, that wasn't what it seemed like it was, right? Now it wouldn't be fair to sell away one of my cute students' best tricks before a tournament now would it? He laughed. But no it wasn't, maybe one day, but not yet. Zaku was beginning to prepare to charge Naruto again. You sure you don't want to quit now? The blonde asked. I respect your will to not give up, but you're really outclassed here. Shut up, Zaku yelled extending his arms. Decapitating airwaves. Naruto threw a kunai to the wall off to the right of Zaku. Quickly substituting with it, he coiled his legs and sprung off the flat surface at high speed. Arriving at Zaku in no time, Naruto smashed his foot into the other boy's face sending him to the ground. Naruto stood over him and held a kunai to the downed boy's chin. Winner, Uzumaki Naruto. The proctor announced promptly following up with a cough. Hey, you're next, Sasuke. Naruto called to his teammate, then proceeded to jump back up to the viewing platform. Most of the crowd around him however, was stunned. Mostly because they had just watched the boy body and Auto nin without so much as a single hand seal. For the Junin however, at least those who knew Minato, they were in shock. They had just watched a boy who looked quite a lot like their late Hokage, defeat an enemy nin in a manner oh so similar to his very tactics. Hayate then broke the silence. Ahem. He cleared his throat and coughed again. Uchiha Sasuke vs. Inuzuka Kiba. Hey, time to show you who's top dog, Sasuke. The feral boy yelled jumping down. I'm already above being a dog, mutt. The raven retorted, also jumping down. Begin. Sasuke and Kiba locked eyes, and Sasuke's flashed to that of the Sharingan. Seconds later Kiba collapsed to the floor, Akamaru desperately trying to wake him. I've locked him in a Sharingan genjutsu. It's over. The proctor waited a few more moments, to give the other boy a chance to break it. However as he moved to end the match, Akamaru bit down on Kiba's hand. Hard. Ow. Akamaru what the boy trailed off. Fuck, you got me in a genjutsu. Did I lose? Not yet. The proctor answered. Sasuke moved to activate his Sharingan once again, but a burning pain from his curse seal stopped him. Kiba got in a solid kick to the Uchiha's face because of the hesitation. Unfortunately for Kiba, Sasuke had managed to activate his Sharingan a few times during Rock Lee and Gaara's match, thus he picked up a few tricks. The two boys met in the middle of the arena, immediately trading blows. Sasuke was gaining the upper hand quickly. Kiba jumped back fully intent on collaborating with Akamaru, but Sasuke appeared beside the boy, kicking him into the air. The Uchiha followed close behind, and with a flip kick just like Naruto's he sent the dog lover back down. Unfortunately for Sasuke, he couldn't outpace the boy to the ground as Naruto had done. So in turn the Raven followed through with the kick all the way to the ground. Kiba was more than done now, not able to get up. And even if he could, Sasuke was now holding a kunai to Akamaru's neck. The proctor called the match there. "Alright, all match winners please come down," Hayate said, following with a short bout of coughing. The group of genin destined for the finals lined up in front of the sickly Junin. The Hokage came forward to stand next to the proctor. "You've all shown considerable skill, as well as the determination to be considered for Chunin. The finals will be held in a month. You will have time to recover, train, and prepare." The elderly Hokage turned and left. "Alright, time to decide match setup." He once again interrupted himself with a bout of coughs. "You'll draw a number from this container." Naruto drew first. 1, 5. The female of the Sand siblings piped off. 3. Team 7's Pinkette said aloud. 7. Said the stoic voice of Aburame Shino. 9. The last Uchiha smiled. He was confident the finals would end with a battle between himself and Naruto, his best friend and rival. 4. Dosu smiled, thinking of getting payback for the forest. 6. What a drag. The Nara really just couldn't be bothered. 8. Kankuro said with a cocky tone. 2. Said Neji. Naruto smiled, as he'd have the chance to beat that bastard in front of everyone. 10. Said Gaara, a sickening smile spreading across his face. Hayate looked at Rika. "You'll fight the winner of the first match." "Okay? Yeah, I got it," she replied in monotone. Hayate looked at the genin. He smirked and started with the lineups. First match, Uzumaki Naruto vs. Hyuga Neji. Second match will be the winner of match 1 vs. Hinazuki Rika. Third match will consist of Haruno Sakura vs. Dosu. Fourth will be Nara Shikamaru vs. Tamari. Fifth match will be Aburame Shino vs. Kankuro. Final match will be Uchiha Sasuke against Gaara. He dismissed the genin, after which he took his leave to head home. Chapter 8. End. Chapter 9. Start. Naruto awoke in his bed the next day. It was 8 in the morning, and he needed to make the most of this month for training. He figured he'd find Kakashi-sensei, and get the white-haired Junin to teach him some new jutsu. Well, that was until he stepped out the door, and felt Dragon, one of the Hokage's personal Anbu, was headed straight for him. That said, he stood and seconds later Dragon was standing before him. Hey, how can I help you, Dragon? The blonde asked. Lord Third Hokage has requested your presence in the Hokage Tower. The stated simply. Understood. I'll make my way there, unless you plan to body flicker us there? The masked operative responded by stepping forward and placing his hand on the boy's shoulder, which led them to the Hokage's office in seconds. Lord Third, the boy and the man said simultaneously while bowing. Ah, young Naruto. How are you today? I'm wonderful, sir, but I was hoping to start my training for the finals today, so, could we be quick please? The boy said. Ah yes, but I think you'll like to hear what I'm about to tell you. Sir? I've arranged a sensei for your month of training. Kakashi will be training Sasuke, but you will have an equally adept teacher. Well, I did teach the fourth Hokage after all. The window behind Sarutobi opened, revealing a massive man with long white hair. He wore a horned forehead protector with the kanji for oil engraved upon it, along with a red haori. Naruto's eyes widened. Lord Jiraiya. It's an honor, sir. The boy said while bowing. Hey, look at that. Sensei, this kid has good manners. Ah yes, that he does, Jiraiya. Now since introductions have been made, why don't you take the boy off for some training? Hiruzen chuckled. What? Naruto's jaw hit the floor as it finally clicked. Wait, did you really mean I get to train under one of the Sannin? The boy laughed aloud in joy. Thank you, Lord Hokage, this means so much to me. I won't let you down. I have complete faith that you won't, my boy. Now get going. The village leader smiled. Alright then, come on kid. Right away Lord Jiraiya. Enough with that formal crap, just call me sensei. Yes sir Jiraiya sensei. Sasuke, I'm going to teach you the jutsu I created myself. It's a jutsu to be used to kill your enemies so that you can protect your comrades. You created this yourself sensei? Sasuke was pleasantly surprised that the man who had copied over 1,000 ninjutsu had even created his own. I was inspired by a jutsu of the 4th Hokages. And I in turn developed this one. Kakashi slid through his hand seals, years of practice and refinement showing itself. His hand bust to life in a blue hue of lightning, while the chirping of 1,000 birds filled the air. This, Sasuke, is the Chidori. I'm going to teach you this in faith that you will use it only to protect your village and your comrades. I understand sensei, let's get started. The boy offered to the masked Junin. Shino is currently training with his clan for the exams, so Kakashi called in a favor. And I'm happily going to teach you more about genjutsu and help you refine and strengthen your techniques. Said the red-eyed woman, known as Yuhi Kurenai. I appreciate your help a lot Kurenai-sensei, thank you for this opportunity. The pink-haired girl said, full of enthusiasm. Good. Now let's get started. Alright Naruto, do it again. Half of the month was already over, and the technique Jiraiya was currently teaching the prodigal son was almost complete. Naruto disappeared from one side of the clearing and reappeared in another, however he slammed head first into a tree. The old Sannin cackled at the boy's expense. You're doing good Naruto. You've almost got it down if I'm honest. The body flicker takes precise chakra control, and a sharp and clear mind to execute. Applications in combat are even more difficult. The sage had decided with the boy's uncanny love for speed just like his father, the body flicker would be the best weapon he could give the boy. Against Byakugan or the Sharingan, it didn't matter if your opponent could see your moves as long as you were too fast for them to react to it. The Sannin smiled as the boy stood with a groan, recovering from hitting the tree. Other than the 4th Hokage's natural speed alone, only he and Uchiha Shisui have ever mastered the body flicker enough to make the speed aspect of it useful on the battlefield. Although Minato would later become known for his use of the flying Raijin, he still executed a lot of his technique and showcased his speed with this jutsu alone. I think I can get it this time. Once again Naruto disappeared from one place and reappeared in another, kunai drawn, and combat ready. I did it. I really did it you know. The boy smiled at his sensei. So what now? Well now, we spar so you can figure out how to use the body flicker in combat, because I believe you are one of the only shinobi capable of adding yourself to the list that only Minato and Shisui of the body flicker have their names on. They would battle in the field until dark. That's gonna do it for tonight Naruto. Go get some rest, and tomorrow we'll continue to refine your body flicker, along with another technique I have planned for you. The Toad Sage finished with a smirk. He and the boy parted ways, the sage heading to the bar to spend time with the ladies, and the boy dragged himself into bed. The next morning, Naruto met the older shinobi at the training ground. Hey Jiraiya sensei. The young man called out. Oh ho ho. Naruto, how's it going? Ready for a big day kid? Of course I am sensei. Alright let's get started then. We're going to spar for most of today and then we will begin work on the other jutsu I plan to teach you. The sage grinned at the boy. During this spar I want you to go out of your way to try to incorporate the body flicker as much as possible into the hummingbird fist. With your high chakra levels it shouldn't be hard to keep snapping around and stuff. However you have to remember the body flicker dulls your senses while in use. It causes tunnel vision, and if you can't immediately regain the tactical knowledge of the battlefield and just as quickly react to new threats, then it's useless. Got it? Yes sir. The boy waited for the sage to signal a start. The older man waved his hand and waited for the boy to come at him. Jiraiya was gonna go easy on the boy, but he wasn't going to let him hit him. He couldn't let that kind of blow to his pride happen. The boy zipped across the field at the experienced shinobi and launched into a spin kick, which the man caught throwing the boy away from him. The boy was at his side again, via body flicker. However, as the large man had told him, his senses were dulled. He barely managed to get enough grip on the battlefield to avoid the head-crushing punch the Sannin threw at him. Naruto flickered away, appearing by a tree and throwing a handful of shuriken at the elder shinobi. The shinobi simply dodged the spinning blades, only for his eyes to widen as the boy disappeared, a kunai appearing where he had been standing. That bright little brat hid a kunai in that group of shuriken, he knew I wouldn't block them. Jiraiya thought, spinning around to catch Naruto's hard kick aimed at his head. The boy, however, disappeared via flicker and popped up right behind the Sannin, swiping at him with a brandished kunai. The man caught his wrist and tossed him over his head. The boy tumbled a second, then righted himself, burning through hand seals, wind style, gale palm. A powerful gust of wind barreled toward the sage, and pushed him back a few feet. The man smiled at the boy. You're gonna have to do better than that, Naruto. Oh come on, I'm already outclassed. You're a damn Sannin. Don't start whining. Now come at me, boy. Yes, sensei. The boy replied, launching at the older male once again. Jiraiya proceeded to beat the boy up, and point out his flaws as well as help him correct them for the rest of the day. As it hit dusk, the sage stopped the fighting. He threw the boy into a tree fairly hard. Good, I think I've drained a good chunk of his chakra, that should make this easier. He thought to himself. Naruto. Come here a minute. OWW. Yes, sensei. Coming. The boy ran over and the man smiled. He really was so much like his late student and his wife. Now Naruto, you know what a summon is, correct? Yes sir. Tsunade, Orochimaru, and you, all hold well-known summon contracts. You possess the Toad summoning contract, which you allowed your student the 4th Hokage to sign. The boy rattled off the facts like he learned them yesterday. Good, you do know. Now I think I've taken a liking to you, boy. How would you like to be the next Toad summoner? Wait, what? Jiraiya-sensei, you don't mean? You really want me to sign it? Are you sure? Naruto sputtered our words in pure shock. Of course I'm sure, you idiot. Especially because if you make Chunin, I'll take you as my apprentice. The Sannin said, smiling. What? Are you sure? Why? Why would you take me? I'm not special. I don't know what to say. There's no reason to take me as an APPR. The boy was in pure shock at this point, barely getting his words out when the sage interrupted him. I have my reasons, Naruto. But let's just say you remind me of my last apprentice quite a bit. The older man smiled fondly at the boy. Minato and Kushina, I'm sorry I wasn't there for him for so long, but I won't let you down anymore. He's just so much like the both of you. You'd be so proud. The man thought of his last student, and how he had no doubt this boy would surpass him. So what do you say, Naruto? Thank you, Jiraiya-sensei. I'm honored. This means the world to me. The blonde smiled up at the white-haired man. Alright, let's get to work then, the man said. By nightfall, Naruto had already summoned Gamakichi, which was a feat in its own all things considered, but Jiraiya knew he had to get this done while the boy's chakra was low. Alright Naruto. To summon a larger toad, you are going to need more chakra. It's time for that big furball in your gut to pay some rent. Yes sir, but how do I do that? He grabbed Naruto by the shoulders and gave a simple reply. Well, don't die, he said and threw the boy through the air. The smaller shinobi was in so much shock he didn't even think to substitute. And so he found himself falling into an absolutely massive crevasse. I'm gonna fucking die. That old shitty perv. I'm gonna kill him. Naruto fell and suddenly found himself in a sewer. What the fuck? Where am I? Come here, boy. A massive, deep and echoing voice ripped through the tunnels. He walked along them until he came to a doorway. What he saw when he stepped through shocked him. A massive room, with a massive cage to match. And so, my jailer finally has the nerve to visit me. The same deep voice rumbled from the cave. Show yourself. I know you're in there, 9 tails. A massive fox with 9 swinging tails appeared and stepped right up to the gate. Do not order me like some animal, mortal. Well sorry. But look, we're both stuck with each other, you know. And well, I don't want to die and I'm sure you don't either. So well, help me help you not die. If you're willing to lend me chakra, I'll do everything in my power and more to keep us both alive. Naruto said to the massive demon fox that had destroyed his village. The 9 tails was honestly stunned. Never in a million years would he have guessed this little shit that his previous container and her stupid Hokage husband had created would come and for the most part ask kindly for his chakra. He only had one thought at that moment. What the fuck? So what do you say, wanna be partners? The 9 tails growled at this, causing Naruto to rephrase his question. I mean wanna be associates, and we can benefit each other? You're definitely different from the others, you stupid brat. I don't trust you, nor do I like you or your despicable village, however. I do not want to die, nor do I wish to have a weak host. Become strong, so I can kill you as a worthy opponent one day." The demon fox growled out at the boy. I don't like the idea of dying too much, but yeah, sure, sounds good to me." The fox almost huffed in amusement, but held back. "Good, now get out." Naruto then found himself falling once again. Now however he sensed the powerful chakra of his burden, and flashed through the summoning hand seals. Ninja art. Summoning jutsu. At this the massive hulking form of Gamabunta, the boss toad, appeared within the crevasse and halted their fall. "What? Who the hell summoned me? Jiraiya, where the hell are you?" Excuse me, Lord Gamabunta, I summoned you. I am Uzumaki Naruto. I'm a shinobi of Konoha, the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox, and soon to be the new apprentice of your summoner Jiraiya." Naruto said to the boss toad as politely as possible. At least your damn brat here has some manners, unlike you Jiraiya." The toad called out. "Alright, fine then boy, I'll accept you as a summoner. We'll have to share a drink sometime, you bring the sake though." "Bye kid." Bunta threw Naruto back onto solid ground, and the boy waved goodbye as the toad disappeared in a huge cloud of smoke. Clapping was heard coming from behind the blonde, and he turned to see his new sensei approaching from the trees. Well, look at you, good job Naruto. What the hell did you throw me off a cliff for, you old bastard?" "Ah, shut up brat, it worked didn't it?" Naruto sighed. "Yes sensei, it worked." They conversed for a while, before they went back to training, and eventually both shinobi went their separate ways. Naruto and the Sannin trained for the rest of the month leading to the Chunin exams. Jiraiya would say that the blonde almost did have mastery of the body flicker, but the boy still needed time to fully incorporate it into his fighting style. This was it, the exams were here, and Naruto was ready to rock and roll. He was finally going to be able to put that damn Hyuga in his place. The boy was very excited for another reason as well. He would get to make a very dramatic entrance alongside Sasuke, Kakashi, and Jiraiya sensei. Flashback, "Oi, Naruto, come here." The boy quickly trotted up to his sensei. "What's up?" the Jinchuriki asked inquisitively. "Well, two things actually. After your encounter with Orochimaru, we're fairly certain he may try to attack the village during the exams." The blonde's eyes widened, he was shocked. "However, the old man wants to show me off. He wants my presence in the village to be known, in an attempt to deter an attack in the first place, as well as demoralize any assaulting forces." The boy looked at the man, a look of obvious confusion in his eyes. "How do you plan to do that, Jiraiya sensei?" "Well kid, I'm going to show up with you in a sort of flashy entrance at the finals. Kakashi will be doing the same with Sasuke. We want to show off two of the strongest shinobi in the village, as well as the two most promising genin." "Ah, I see sensei, that makes sense." "Indeed. However, on the second notion, you used to play pranks, right kid?" "Yeah, I was super good too." Naruto responded laughing. "Well Naruto, you look a lot like my last apprentice, and I was wondering if you wanted to prank the hell out of those villagers who don't like you for your burden?" Naruto looked excited but confused. "Yeah, but how do you propose we do that sensei?" The Sannin pulled a large cloak from his scroll, a white cloak with orange and blue flames licking the bottom, just the right size for Naruto. "I want you to show up in this." The sage laughed. "You'll look so much like the fourth the whole village will shit a brick." "Sensei, you're brilliant. This'll be awesome you know." Naruto yelled, laughing in excitement. "Indeed it will boy. Now let's work on our entrance. Can't let Kakashi and the Uchiha show us up." The two shinobi smiled at each other. Flashback end, it was time. The finals were here. Naruto was about to rock the fragile minds of the entire village. But something had been on his mind since Jiraiya sensei had gave him his new cloak. He looked in the mirror with it on. He really did look so much like the fourth Hokage. It was uncanny. The way his bangs framed his face, or the way his spiky blonde hair stood upon his head. It made him wonder, could the fourth, maybe just maybe be his F? No, that couldn't be it. A man like the fourth Hokage, a hero and shinobi so untouchable by normal people, couldn't be his. Oh well, no time to dwell. He sat and thought of his late mother. Reaching over to his nightstand beside his bed, he retrieved the picture old man Sarutobi had given him of her. He smiled, she really was just so beautiful. "Watch me mother, I'm gonna win this whole exam, and I'll become a Chunin. Wish me luck mother?" he thought as he set the picture down. Sensing Jiraiya sensei was about to reach his door, Naruto ran over and opened it before the man could knock and said, "I'm ready sensei." Jesus brat. Don't do that shit. Anyway, you remember how we practiced, right? Yes, sensei. I'm ready. Alrighty then boy, let's get going. The two shinobi disappeared in a swirl of leaves. They immediately met with Kakashi and Sasuke. The four of them all prepared to arrive in style. They stood in a hidden spot outside the exam stadium. Kakashi was stunned at how Naruto looked. The cloak sold it, he looked like a mini fourth Hokage. It's time, said the Sannin, and the four shinobi prepared to appear in the stadium. Genma was sad having to proctor in place of his dead friend. Yugo was devastated, and rightfully so. She had lost her lover, after all. Either way it was time. All contestants please come forward. The Chunin hopefuls lined up a distance away from Genma. They were all confused at the absence of Sasuke and Naruto. Well, that was until a cloud of smoke filled the space between them and their proctor. As the smoke drifted away they were greeted with an unexpected sight. Before then stood Naruto and Sasuke, side by side with their sensei standing just behind them. Many of the contestants and onlookers were shocked to see Jiraiya of the Sannin towering over the smaller blonde. But what threw off almost everyone in the stadium was the sight of their beloved fourth Hokage. The bangs that framed his face fluttered slightly in the wind. He was shorter than they remembered, and since when had he sported whiskers on his cheeks? Realization began to dawn on many, as they noticed the addition of blue and orange flames in place of the red, and the absence of kanji on the back of the cloak. Realization hit even harder as they saw just who they were looking at. That was the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, that was Uzumaki Naruto. And why did he look like a carbon copy of the very Hokage that had saved the village 13 years ago? Chapter 9. End. And that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, leaving a like would be very appreciated. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. See you all later and bye.